comics are stupid.
No Harry Potter movie is good.
And you're like, give me the Snyder Cut. Oh, sorry, just walk in front of you here. Gonna put my popcorn down. Oh, sorry, gotta put this here.
Universal needs to sue Sony.
Hey, I'm an idiot. I was fired from Fox.
I'd like actually to see Venom just crush Spider-Man.
Hello, everyone. So we're back with episode 8 of this series, and we have another amazing guest, Megan Fahlenbock. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So, I've got to ask you, just to start this off, I've got to ask you a question, just, for the sake of our brand. Do you like superheroes?
I love superheroes when they rescue me from horrible situations.
Do you like superheroes?
But yeah, sure. Of course I love it. Who doesn't love a good superhero?
That's true. See, that's the answer that I wanted, because this would have gotten really weird if that wasn't the answer. So, now, just to kind of start off, how did you get into acting?
Well, I kind of stumbled into it professionally, but I wanted to be an actor. So I moved around a lot as a kid, and so I was the new kid in school every 2 years growing up. Like, I didn't stay in the same school. I had 2 years in every school. So I remember in grade 4, so I was always kind of just when I was sort of,
settling in,
I was off to another school. So I remember in grade 4, I was, there was a school play, and I watched the school play, and I was in the choir for the school play. And I thought, I want to be on stage. That's what I want to do. That was kind of like my first sort of, I guess, desire to be, like, to think that I could actually do it. That's where I would start. I had already at that point been watching movies and imitating people, but this is before voice. Like, this is way before kind of my foray into the voice world. This was like acting. I would recreate scenes from the movie The Elephant Man. And I loved it. I loved everything. The walk, I studied people. Anyway, so I saw this play, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So then when I went to my next school for grade 4 and 5, I tried out for the school play, Peter Pan, and I got the part of Peter, and the rest is history. I basically, I just loved it. I loved being on stage, but what I also loved, I loved it. I didn't even have stage fright. Like, I was just like, this is what I want to do. I love it. I've since have stage fright. Now that I'm getting older, I'm more nervous about what I do. But I think that was just kind of the kid I was too. I kind of had to just take risks, even if I wasn't prepared, because I didn't have time, because I moved every 2 years. So I kind of just had to do stuff. So yeah, so I don't know if I was necessarily very good, but everybody in the schoolyard called me Peter after that, like, little kid. That's what I loved. Like, I love that. I loved how it affected people, and that people got excited about me, but not necessarily because, not as like being popular, being famous, like famous at school. It wasn't like, ooh, I like this, I want the world to know me. Because I don't know any famous people who really love fame, Just kind of what happens, unfortunately, for whatever reason, like, politics and acting, we become, that's what it is. You're in the front, you're in the light. So
I think people want fame until they get famous, and then they're like, this isn't that great. So yeah, like, wow, I didn't realize I scarf down ice cream that quickly when I eat it, or I look really weird at that angle. But anyway, so I really loved it. And then a couple years later, I was at a store, and a photographer saw me at the store, and it was all legit. And she was like, you have a great face. I work with a lot of modeling agencies. This is like modeling. But I was like intrigued by it, and I started doing that for a bit. And in the meantime, my drama teacher from my high school
so while I was modeling, so I started modeling and doing commercials, and I got an agent. Like, so I just kind of, like I said, I stumbled into this stuff. I sort of so suddenly I was auditioning, I was modeling, I was not really, I was doing SOC spots and commercials, and then I auditioned for a movie because my drama teacher was assisting casting one summer, and I kind of forgot, but then I remembered last minute. So, and they were, the director was packing up, but then he wanted me to audition, and then he wanted me to come back for the callback, and I wasn't available because I was at a friend's cottage, but I still got the job. And that was when I was 16, and off I went to Budapest and filmed my first movie of the week. And then I got, I basically got an acting agent from there. Like then when I got that gig, that big gig, I was like, I guess I'm not modeling anymore. I'm acting now, which is what I wanted to do. But then I got all this, I felt like kids treated me really weirdly at school because I was doing all this stuff. So I totally quit. It was like, I just wanted to be a normal kid. So I was like, I was realizing my dream, and then I just quit because I just wanted to fit in. It's bizarre. Then I went off and did all sorts of things, went off to university, tried not to be an actor, even though I did every play. I always did plays. And then I became a professional water skier, and I went all over the world, like, as a professional water skier. And then while I was performing, doing this, I'm like, I am a performer. I went to India, and I was I was watching movies. I was like, I need to be doing that. What am I doing? Why am I fighting this so badly? So came back to Toronto in my mid-20s and and that's when my really focused, and it's like, okay, I'm doing this. Yeah, so that's kind of the story. And then you kind of know my resume from there.
So I wanted to ask, what was your first professional role? What was the title of the project, and how was that first experience as an actress?
Like, I would say that would have been that one when I was 16. It was called Lena and My 100 Children, and it was incredible. I mean, I was off in another country. I had my head shaved immediately when I got there because I was playing a concentration camp survivor, like a World War II survivor. So that was interesting. It was a great experience. It was there were a lot. We had orphans from Budapest, like, because that's where we were shooting, play all the extra roles, the background performers, because it was called Lena and My 100 Children, so we needed a whole lot of kids. So it was really an incredible first experience. Like, I don't know, like, even all the crew who came from Canada and the States, it was mostly from the States and some Canadians. It was a very unique and special experience anyway, and it happened to be my first one. And so it was great. I still quit after, but that's not because I didn't love it. I don't know. I guess I just funny. Like, I just wanted to, kids were.
You said it's about the Holocaust?
Yeah, it was.
Is it a true story?
Pardon? It was based on a true story true story of a woman named Lena Kuchler-Cyberman who ended up passing away while we were shooting the movie, which was super sad, but she was an older survivor, and Linda Lavin played Lena, and it was amazing. And yeah, it was a really cool experience because it was also based on this true story of how Lena in the war, she survived the war by posing as a Catholic to survive. And then when she went she got separated from her family, and she went to find her sister who stayed true to her Judaism, and she had been murdered. So yeah, and so basically it was her, Lena's basic fight was basically she wanted to feel better about her choice. And I mean, if she survived it, she wanted to figure out why she needed to do something good. And so she found all these kids, like, abandoned in a warehouse. It was kind of like where Schindler's List ended, and everyone's like, and now what, right? Like, I'm free, but where am I? Where, nothing. It's like that's all. There were all these kids who'd lost their families, who were just figuring life out by themselves with nothing. So she saves them, she feeds them and clothes them and brings them to the promised land in the end. It was really cool. Yeah. So yeah. Pardon?
That's actually really interesting.
It was really interesting. The story's really interesting. I mean, there are lots of incredible survivor stories from that horrible war, and there always will be those amazing stories. I'd like to think, I'm sure there are tons happening right now out of the Ukraine. But for me, it was definitely really amazing, and it was also exactly the right story for me to be telling, kind of in that I think that's why I became an actor, is just to be able to tell stories that would, teach people or change people or make people think twice or make people like live their best life. Like for me, it's just like life is short. Do what makes you happy. I want people to spread their wings and fly as far and high as they want to. And I think what were we all doing during the pandemic? We were watching shows, right? That was a big one for a lot of us. So, to be on a show that really, that was a great story. I mean, I would like to think that maybe someone who's watching that story might make it the right choice, next time. And who knows, right?
So now everyone kind of, I think, has this kind of movie that inspired them, or it's something that they point to as like, a movie they look to when they kind of talk about their career. What movie would it be that you kind of have that kind of inspired you?
Well, it's so ironic in a way, or I don't know if ironic is I'm using the word correctly. I think I'm not, because if Alanis Morissette wasn't, I definitely am not. Sophie's Choice, which was Meryl Streep, and another kind of post-World War II story. But Sophie's Choice was probably that story for me. And Meryl Streep, and I'm a huge, Meryl Streep is she's my guru. I have many, but she's one of them. Yeah, I haven't met her yet.
So that's actually, I love that as a choice. So what was the process of auditioning for the kind of roles when you came back for Gwen and Jen, and those are the two biggest ones, I think.
Yeah, those are, so the voice thing, for voice is a little bit different. Well, now it's all different now, but Jen was the first one. Jen 16 came first. And I was pretty new in voice. I'd taken a lot of classes at that point, and I'd been doing commercials. And I think I booked a couple of things in voice. But I definitely didn't know what I was doing really yet. Not the way I know what I'm doing now. And I coach this stuff too, like crazy. So I think about this stuff. But yeah, it was great. And I knew one of the producers on the show and writers from Fresh. It was an old childhood friend that I didn't know until I walked into the audition room. And she and I had kind of grown up together a little bit. So that was really cool. And her name's Jen. It was Jennifer Perch. And so that was great. It's always great when you meet someone that in the business. It's like, oh, we have this connection and networking and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a terrible networker. I would just hate it if anyone thought I was trying to suck up to them or something. I'm terrible in the business side of this. And there's such an important business side of this. I've done it all wrong. So I coach it better now. I help young people do it better than I've done it. But anyway, the character was really made for me. Jennifer wrote this character based kind of on her, and we were both, and I was super sporty and super, I am very much Jen Masterson. So in so many ways, and I don't think I became her. I think I just was, I just kind of, it was a really seamless kind of transition. But then I learned, you learn a lot when you're in the and doing it regularly, doing voice regularly. So definitely the technical side of being a voiceover performer, I learned a lot from that, but it was a beautiful experience. Was a beautiful first, foray into the world of voiceover. And because I was working with it was just a love bubble. It was just great teamwork. And I'm a team player. I'm an athlete. So I like a team. I like using strengths, using each other's strengths and building each other up and helping, and it's a very solitary job a lot of the time. So because we're always in between work, we're auditioning alone, developing our characters alone, doing all that, memorizing lines alone. So it's so nice when you book something, you're like, hey, I'm on a team. And that was a beautiful team. And all 6 of us would record in the booth, and it would get long. We were definitely goofy. And we were, our director, Merlan Ridley, had to, be our mother a lot. We got in trouble a lot for chit-chatting, but it was really great. And I think it created a great energy for the show. We never recorded together again after season 1. They split us up after that.
Wait, can I ask you a question? I don't know if you'll answer this, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
Sure.
Which cast was better, 16 or Total Drama?
Like that, I don't even know what better means. Like better.
Like which one was more a fun experience, I guess?
Probably because of 16, like the nature of, all of us being in the booth together was so great. But I had so much fun in Total Drama. Like when I was in the booth with, Trent and Owen, Trent/Owen, Scott McCord, or, I would get paired up. Gwen would get paired up with whatever character she was working with a lot. But they couldn't put all, that would be just so time consuming. And then you just sort of go through your chunks of dialogue. I'm not sure how much you know of the process of how one records a whole episode, but you kind of just do it like that. And sometimes in scenes, if you don't, also if someone's away, then you go in by yourself. Like if I went on my summer holiday and then I came back and I had to re-record, I could catch up and record last couple of episodes, then nobody would be in there with me. And sometimes the director will read the lines back to you just to get the rhythm of the scene. But once you know the character so well, you sort of figure out, you can just do that naturally in your head. Like I knew exactly how Jonesy would respond. I knew exactly how Jude would respond. And the same went for Total Drama. But they were both really fun. I think nothing could recreate this. There's something very special about 16. And we all feel it. Like if you asked Terry or Stacy or Christian or Brooke or Wyatt, who's not named Wyatt, but
so
trouble here.
So out of all the roles that you had and all the characters you portrayed, what was your favorite role and why?
So probably 16 Jen as my sort of animation for sure. And I think you know why now. She was just close to me. And then she was also, all those embarrassing situations. And it's so much fun to act that and just being real. And also the after, like being at Comic-Cons and stuff and having both kids, kids were so thankful for the show, but also the parents, that side of 16, I also love. Like, thank you for doing such a great show that showed amazing friendships and was pretty diverse at the time, like diverse, little bit diverse. and then just tackling subjects that, parents didn't know how to talk about it, or it was a great way for 16 sort of gave sort of set it up so then the parents could talk about it later. Like I had so many parents that were like, I love that show in the background as opposed to other shows my kids listen to, and then the other movie that probably has stuck with me, I mean, definitely that first one I was telling you about, Lena and My 100 Children. For that reason, it was also because we were in Hungary and Budapest. But I would say the one I did with Angela Angela Vint. Sorry, I've got another friend. I just gave her. They have very similar last name. But anyway, and it was the baby formula. So Allison Reed. I'm also terrible at names, just so you know. So when we get into any questions about names, I apologize in advance to whoever's listening if I butcher your name. Terrible at names. I wish we all had name tags. But yeah, the baby formula. I'm not sure if you know of that one, that Canadian film that I did. And that was amazing because I was also pregnant and it got to kind of document my birth. There was tons of improv. that was also, it was independent. So it was, it was a labor of love. And actually my co-star Angela went into labor during the making of the film. So then our whole day changed that day, and how we were going to shoot that scene, because she was no longer in the scene. So I had to sort of hang out at Pride and do crazy stuff as Lilith. Yeah. So those, definitely. But I mean, there's so many. I've had a lot of really great experiences. So, but those two were definitely probably my love children, my filmic love children.
So you said Jen was kind of written for you, but so then, and Gwen is very different from that. So was that kind of like a role you had to kind of, mold yourself to?
Yeah, I mean, I had to act more, with Jen, it was written for me, but not really with me. It was written for me just by chance, right? Just to be clear. But yes, so it was just, I could identify with Jen in so many ways. Gwen, no, not as much. I'm not an introvert. But I have quiet moments, and I have, so I had to be an actor. And the voice, with voice, it's like they wanted that quality of voice, so that's there. So I never, your voice is what it is. I didn't have to change it too much. And my voice is, I change my characters with my acting more than my voice. I have a terribly small range. I can't change my voice all that much. But I'm a really good actor, sort of, so I just do it that way. So I had to act, which is great, which is also really fun. I mean, I am an actor. I do like to act.
It was funny because I can still hear Jen in your voice. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I'm listening to you and I'm like, I hear Jen. Like, it's crazy.
I know. And I'm not sure if I sort of became her. I mean, I'm a very late bloomer, so there's a good chance that she's formed part of my personality.
It's just so crazy because it's not as like obviously as apparent, but you could hear like so many of like the different like little things. So it's kind of crazy. What do you do in your free time?
My kids are my everything. So so really best role to date is being a mom to them. I do value that role very much and the importance of it. So I'm with my free time and my kids are athletes, and we have them in kind of they play pretty high level sports. So I'm usually driving them to a sport. They play hockey and lacrosse. So a lot of that family time. I go camping, take them camping every summer. Get up north somehow. We do a lot of bike rides together. That's what I was doing today, as I was saying earlier. I love sports, so I do a lot of that, play tennis, and I cook a lot because I have to, because I'm a mom, and I also really like cooking. So a lot of cooking. I have a pet bird. Ooh. I hang with my bird a lot.
What kind of bird?
She's a linealated parakeet. And it's not that I'm necessarily a bird person. Like, I'm an animal lover. And she just made sense for our family at the time. Yeah, she's great, but she's a free bird. She gets to fly everywhere she wants to go, and I brought her up north one weekend and put her in her little carrier case and carried her around the island. A red squirrel tried to attack me, and she fought them off with her loud voice. Yeah, I read, listen, a lot of music. I love music. Yeah. I love life. I never shop. I'll tell you what I don't do. I don't go shopping very often for food. Hate shopping, not a shopper. And I'm not extremely organized. My place gets messy, and I usually clean it up last. It's the last thing on my to-do list. I'd rather be outside playing.
So, what is a film that you've seen recently that you can recommend to our audience, or a TV show that you're currently watching that you can also recommend to our audience?
Ooh. What did I just recommend to somebody? Gosh, there's so many good movies. Watched recently that I love. Well, I'm watching The Crown right now again. Like, I haven't gotten through it yet, but I started rewatching it with I don't know if that's the one I want to like. I definitely recommend it, but is it the one? Okay, Big Little Lies. I love Little Fires Everywhere. That one really stuck to me, and that's Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington, and it's incredible. Loved that, and I love the book as well. So that you get sort of a double whammy there, in a good way. What's a double whammy mean? I don't know. Love that. I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino, yeah. And what was the movie I just recommended today that was from, I can't remember now. Anyway, there's so much I love watching. What are you watching right now?
I just finished The Terminal List with Chris Pratt and Taylor Kitsch. I'm currently watching Under the Banner of Heaven with Andrew Garfield. I'm not much of a TV show watcher. I like movies more, but The Terminal List, I had a bit of a hot take with it, but I said The Terminal List is so far better than The Office and Seinfeld, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, how could you say such a thing?"
I love Seinfeld, a big Seinfeld fan.
It's funny. Seinfeld's great.
Okay, The Terminal List.
Yeah, it's no, Seinfeld's great, but I don't know, just Terminal List is up there.
Okay, amazing. Okay, good to know. I saw Turning Red.
Oh.
I highly recommend it. Big time. Also rewatch Finding Dory. Love it. Love all those movies. And there's so many great performances in, there're just so many great, I love comedies. Like, I love, if I were to be in something like Modern Family, I'd love to be in that. A Seinfeld, that's the kind of series I'd love to be in. And they're a little bit different, but I mean, I'd take it all. But then I'd also love to be in a show that's like Big Little Lies, that's like super heavy, but it really makes you think. And I love like Nurse Jackie. Did you ever see that one with Edie Falco? It was called Nurse Jackie. Yeah. She plays a nurse with I love the broken people, like people with a good heart, but that do bad, their behavior don't always make the right choices or wise choices, but would still love them. Viola Davis and How to Get Away with Murder. So good.
Viola Davis is a legend.
Yeah. Like, I love watching great acting. Like, I really, my sort of favorite people to watch, like Meryl Streep, obviously. I love Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington and Viola Davis, everyone I've just mentioned. And then Turning Red, that's a pretty cool Toronto story too. Right. And yeah, and an immigrant story, I don't know if you know Domishi's story. Have you listened to her at all, or do you know her at all, or?
No, never.
I've listened to a few interviews.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, very, her father was an artist, and she went for it, and then suddenly she was interning at Pixar.
We're working on a little bit of trying to get her.
Yes, are you? Yeah. Work on her. I'll definitely I don't know, anything. That would be great. She's fabulous. She seems very down to earth. That would be great for you.
Yeah, we really want to. I'm trying to work something out.
Amazing. Okay.
So, what are you kind of doing now from a career perspective and acting perspective?
That is such a good question, because I don't know. I'm auditioning a lot. I'm still auditioning all the time. I'm in between work. I just did a show called Georgia. So I was back on for second season, which is great. Like, truth be told, not working enough as far as being an actor. Like, I wish, this is the hard part about being an actor. You're kind of at the whim of everybody, someone else hiring me. I feel like I'm getting better and better as an actor, but I don't know, statistics tell me that a woman my age is lost like 50 or 60% of her career by this age, and it's totally happening. Like, I'm not working as much.
But you are teaching.
Pardon?
But you are teaching.
So that's what I'm doing a lot now. I'm giving back that way. I mean, I got my life coaching certification, and so I'm doing a little bit of like, you know, confidence coaching, and I work with hockey teams, young hockey teams, just mental game stuff, confidence stuff, performance stuff. I work with kids on the autism spectrum who would love to get into this, so I'm helping them kind of find their voice and feel great about themselves and do this stuff. And try and really do it. I've got one of my clients just signed on with an agent, and he's auditioning now, and it's really amazing. And just lots of people who want to be a voice actor or an actor and reach out to me. So, and that, I love that. I do love it. I still, if I were going to, you know, be on set or teach, I love acting, you know, I love performing, but it's tiring. So coaching's great. You know, and I get a ton out of it, and I think you have to, otherwise you shouldn't be. It's also a very special job, as far as like the same way as being a parent. It's an important job. It's not, you can't just, you know, you're doing this is someone else, you know, you're doing this for someone else. So I take it really seriously. I'm always very honored to be on someone's voiceover journey or life journey, and that they've chosen me to be their coach. And I love it. I love coaching.
Now, what about a potential move to like the writing, directing side of things?
Yeah.
Have you considered that?
Question. Yeah, and I have. Like, I wrote a fringe play a number of years ago, and it did really well in the festival. So I've started writing. I've started writing short stories again. I'm putting together I'm working on my one woman show. So I think I'm gonna, you know, and maybe that could turn into something. I think that's what I have to do. I've got to, you know, if we got to do our own stuff, you know, and that, I think that is a big part of this business. Is it takes a lot of hard work, and the hard work can be in lots of different areas. And that is what I coach when people come to me. It's like, you have to want more than to be just a voice actor, not just a voice actor, but you know what I mean? Like learn more, so that you're never feeling useless, where you're like, I have all this to give, but I'm just waiting for someone to hire me. Like, I didn't develop those other skills. I really only can act and teach it. So, you know, that's good. So that's a start, you know, at least I'm teaching it and whatever. But, you know, if I could do it again, I would probably have gone to film school or acting school, even though I was older and I'd already got a degree in anthropology and was feeling like I was done with school. And I took a lot of classes, but I think if I were to, when I coach people, I always suggest, like, get into this, learn about being an actor, but also learn about every aspect of this business, every aspect. Because if you love it, then you want to work in it, and you don't want to you don't want to be in between feeling badly about yourself, because that can happen, or feeling like I just auditioned like 200 times and didn't book one thing. I'm a loser. No, you're not. But you know, it can get to you. So if you're doing other things, at least having something else to do and why not it be in the business?
So this is a question that my co-host has asked a couple of times in previous interviews. So
every single interview.
So if you had a dream project to create, you're the director or something, you have 100% of creative control over this project.
And unlimited money.
What would the genre be, and who would your cast be?
Oh my gosh. So I think I've named all my cast already. Like, I would definitely have to be working. And Jodie Foster, we got to throw her in there. You know, let's get Quentin, or maybe I'd love to do a Christopher Guest movie, like that sort of type of genre, like a Best in Show, and let's bring Eugene into the mix also. Like, we got to work with all of them. Yeah, and plus all my friends. Like, I'd have to invite all my friends who are amazing actors who not everyone knows, like Jeannie Kalea, and have to work with her. Don't know if you know her, but she's amazing. And my friend Kristen Booth, doing great. I'd love to work with her again. And look, I love comedy. I love comedy that's mixed with drama, but comedy. I'm like, I want to be doing a comedy, because what better medicine is there than laughing? Yeah.
So is this like a rom-com situation, or?
I feel like it would have to be more complex than a rom-com. Like, I think would have to be something complex about it, because I do like complexity, because we are complex. Like, it would have to be, not that rom-coms aren't, like When Harry Met Sally rom-com was pretty great. I would do that, like work with Billy Crystal. That would be fun. I think a comedy, real. It would be real. It wouldn't be like a High Horizon, and definitely not like a sci-fi or a murder mystery or anything. I think it would be like, and not necessarily a Christopher Guest is a very specific genre. Do you know his movies? Like those, those movies. So I think it would be more like, which genre would it be? Because I also superheroes. I've always wanted to be a superhero. So there's that too. And actually in my play that I wrote myself a superhero scene. I was getting ready to go out to be a superhero. I was dressing up, and I always wanted to be a superhero. That's a really hard question. It's like, I would love to do, I do like the laugh, but I also love the cry, and I love the real and authentic storytelling mixed with a little bit of wacky.
You should do? You should do a trilogy, right? And each movie in the trilogy should be a completely different genre. Then you can cross all those boxes.
I love that idea. That's perfect. All right, let's do it. Will you guys participate?
Yeah, we're on it.
Okay, amazing.
So now you've kind of already talked about this a little bit, but I'm gonna ask you again for I guess a summary of all the things, because you kind of said a lot of these things. Sorry, I can't speak for some reason throughout the interview. But what advice do you have for young people who kind of want to join the industry?
Yeah, and by join the industry, you mean get into the industry in whatever form. Go, reach out to productions and see if you can, depending on what part of the industry you want to get into. If you want to be a director, go shadow somebody. There's so much stuff filming, especially if you're in Toronto or Vancouver, or, if you're in Canada, there's lots going on in lots of different places. But if this is what you really want to do, and join clubs, join Facebook, but get out there. You gotta be doing the do. You can walk the walk and talk the talk, but then you got to do the do. It's not enough just be like, I want to do this. Like, hustle, go out there, do it. And I'm not necessarily practicing what I preach, but I think just do it and don't be shy about it. I love it when somebody reaches out to me and is like, can I ask you questions about this? I'm wanting to get into it. I always have time for somebody and give them and be a bit of a mentor or whatever. Oh my gosh, it's really hot in here. I turned my PC off. I'm like, I'm melting. How many more minutes will this be? Yeah, we're wrapping up here, right?
Yeah, so that's actually the last question.
Yeah, yeah. So just, go for it. First of all, I'm a dreamer. So I say go for it, do it. But it's hard work. It's also, there's a lot of luck involved, yes, but don't let it stop you from going. If this is what you want to do, you have to do it. I did it. I wanted to do it, and I've done it. It's hard work, and there are times when it's frustrating, but that's work. That's life, I know many unhappy people who make lots of money doing the right job, the job their parents wanted them to do. I know a lot of really happy, poor actors. And I know lots of working actors, but it's just part of the business. But do it and learn about everything, and write and direct and put yourself out there. I joined improv groups, and I wrote plays, and I just said yes to everything. And I've never had a dull moment.
Well, that's like the perfect advice.
Balance in my life too, and that's another thing. It's hard to find balance in this business. When you're working on a show, you are on the show. You're married to that show. So there's something about the downtime to be doing other things that can invite breath and balance and regrouping and all that.
Well, I think that's the perfect way to end this. Thank you so much. And I know you're like completely dying of like heat stroke, so I'm not gonna make you keep your AC off.
Yeah. Who wants to hire this space?
Thank you so much for taking the time though to come on and talk to us. We really appreciate it. And for everyone, do you want to promote anything? Websites?
Well, yeah, sure. I'll promote me. I mean, if you are one of these people that is like, I really want to do this, but I don't know how to start. Like, email me, megaplaycoaching@gmail.com. megaplaycoaching@gmail.com. You can follow me. You know where to follow me. I think I'm at Fahlenbock Megan sometimes, but then I'm also at Megan Fahlenbock a lot.
Yeah, your social media handle is right underneath your picture. You can't see it, but
okay, good. Okay, so you have me. Yeah, reach out. I'm very accessible. I'm usually really nice. I'm always really nice. I'm sometimes maybe just, sometimes I get people texting and they'll send me like 1,000 things. I'm like, oh, it's a lot. Yeah, but definitely reach out, and yeah, and I'd love to, come find me. We'll see what happens. Yeah, and thank you guys. Thanks so much. I love that. Without you, who am I? I've always said that. My fans are always like, you're so great. And I'm like, I'm nothing without you. So thank you. Yeah, and and good luck with Domi. Yes. Let me know if I can put in a good word. I don't know her, but who knows? Maybe she was a big Gwen fan.
Yeah, maybe.
If you can use my name, use it.
When we get her on, we'll have to ask her.
Yes.
But thank you again so much for coming on. And yeah, as everyone can see underneath your name or in the podcast description where your social media handles are, so they can go all do that. And everyone else, don't forget, or everyone, I'm sorry, I've like my brain is just dying now, so I think it's time to end this. You can subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast feed. Do it for Megan, right? You want everyone to subscribe to us, right?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. We're all going to subscribe. We are all subscribing.
Exactly. See, we all got to do this.
It's just it's what we have to do. It's what we're doing. It's what we're all doing.
Exactly. And
Amazing.
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at comicboys_. You can follow me on Instagram and everything at ColorJamal03. And Alon exists sometimes.
I ain't got that Instagram anymore. I had to delete that.
I'm also not. So that's the other thing is when you do reach out to me, I sometimes avoid social media a little bit. Sometimes I'm not sure how I feel about social media still. So it's always like, I'll dip in and then I dip out. I prefer, but if you reach out personally, I will reach back out to you. I like that better than the whole public everything.
Yeah, so everyone knows where to find us, all that stuff. Thank you all for watching this episode, and see you all next week for the next episode.
See y'all.
See y'all.